Hello and welcome to another edition of Sega Sundays. My name is Justin Towell, aka Cat Gone Crazy. Today we are playing the frankly astonishing conversion of Virtua Racing. So this was a 1992 arcade game converted to the 16-bit Mega Drive and Genesis in 1994. So we're talking about a £10,000 coin-op that was somehow ported to a £130 home console. It's got all of the tracks from the arcade. It's got the only car, but it does look similar to it, low polygon of course. It's got all of the music, it's got speech, everything basically. The crash animations, it's got car damage, everything. So I don't know how they did it. It's an absolute miracle of programming. Even with the Sega Virtua processor, which was the equivalent of Nintendo's Super FX chip, you don't need me to tell you that. You know full well that Super Nintendo had several games with the Super FX chip, including Yoshi's Island and Doom, things like that. Now, I am using a 6-button control pad, but this is a real Sega Mega Drive. This is the actual thing. You can see actually at the top it's got these weird pixels, coloured ones. But anyway, 3D Pit Crew, again, just like the arcade. The only thing that it doesn't have that I can take off the top of my head is the animated trackside details, like the funfair doesn't animate, and I think the horses move around in the arcade version, but they don't on here. There's a couple of horses, but there are other animals. They're also not animated, inanimate if you will. The horses are on the right here. You just saw them there. And there's also a blackbird on one of them. There's a sheep, a dog, some cows, and a swan as well. So it's got all of the 4 views. Look at this. Isn't that incredible? Lots of dithering going on there with the bridge, but you can even go into the cockpit, which I won't do for too long, especially not in this section. But with the 6-button pad, you can choose between the views at will. Whereas if you had the 3-button pad, you'd have to cycle between them using the C button. But you can go right up into the sky, and there's quite decent draw distance really for a Mega Drive game. Look at it. This is the most playable view. You can also get right down into the action with the default view. I think they should have paid a bit more attention to how the car looked in each of the views, because that lowest one, it doesn't quite look like the arcade. I think they could have got a bit closer to it, but never mind. There's the funfair, and it's got a 2-dimensional backdrop, which at least scrolls left and right. On the replays, it doesn't move at all. Now, we mentioned this because we had a look at the 32X version of the game, which is called Virtua Racing Deluxe. And I was saying in that video how the deluxe version didn't do much that this one didn't. And I stand by that. In fact, I think you'll agree that this isn't as jerky as you probably remember it. It's actually running pretty smoothly. I believe the 32X version runs at 20 frames a second on NTSC machines, whereas this runs at 15 frames a second. But this is the PAL version, so it's probably going to be it'd be 25 if it was running at the equivalent of 30, so it'd be half of that, 12.5 frames a second. I don't know. Anyway, it moves, and it moves very well. Better than it has any right to, basically. Okay, just passing the last back marker there. And that's actually quite a good lap time. What's that? 38.88. Not bad at all. So, first place, you get the game over from the arcade version, which is really cool. They crammed so much into this cartridge. I don't know how many megabytes the cartridge is. JJ, I was thinking about looking on here, but it doesn't say. Never mind, let's have a quick look at the replay before we move on. So you get to see the pit crew changing the wheels. Very nice, from above. I think they probably could have done some more tracking shots following the car, because a lot of it is, static cameras that are tracking the car, not moving with it. Does that make sense? They're sort of panning. That's tracking the car. But as a result, you don't get to see too much detail. The car is basically a load of dots until it gets nearer the screen. But you can also see this view up here. And what you can't see on this track, because there's polygons to cover it, is the background is still showing that same cloud halfway up the screen, like that. It never changes. But never mind. Okay, so we're going to move on to track number 2, which is the medium track. It's called Bay Bridge, and it's got the San Francisco Red Bridge in it, which is awesome. There it is. Massively dithered. Now, if you're looking at this on a mobile phone, it probably still looks alright, but I'm playing this on a 4K monitor, and the game obviously is nowhere near 4K. So it's not looking its best. I'm basically just trying to join up dots in my head to think where the cars are on the track. Ah, too much grass. Now they've crashed into me from behind, but that actually helped. They knocked me further along the road. It's very, very difficult. Let's get a look at that bridge. Look at that. Now, I did want to win the tracks, but it's very difficult. It takes me several goes usually. And because it's only got 3 tracks in the game, the difficulty had to be high. I just hit an invisible wall there. Did you see that? I haven't seen that before. But this is real hardware, so it's not like it's an emulation issue. So yeah, when this game came out in the UK, it cost £70. That's almost £150 in today's money, which is unreal. But we got our copy for £60 from Argos, and I remember getting it home. I didn't want my best mate to know about it because I wanted to play it, because I knew he'd be over as soon as he knew I had it. And then he phoned me, and we had just had a 2-player game, me and my dad. And on the phone he said, "What's that noise?" Because the cars just keep, you hear the revs. And he said, "Oh, you haven't." He knew immediately, like, couldn't keep it from me. Never mind. Of course, then he got all cool and said it wasn't that good. I think it's that good. That's the onboard view, look at that. Hands on the wheel and everything. They don't change gear like they do on the arcade and Switch versions, because the Switch version does actually use the arcade source code apparently. If you're interested in the Switch version, I've got quite a few videos about it on my channel, including a review. I'll link to that at the end. Oh, it's the last lap, so we're not going to win. But I think we should finish, at least. The music's good. It's got a different, what they call sound font. There are some funny videos on YouTube where they've used the Virtua Racing sound font to do other games. A bit daft. Yeah, okay, so 4th place, that's alright. And of course we'll do the expert track. I haven't got a second player here today to play the 2-player mode, but it has even less detail, if you can imagine that. But it's playable. My dad and I used to play it so much. Right, I'm going to put in my actual name this time instead of Juju, whatever it was. There we go. Right, I'll just quickly do the replay to show you this ridiculous bridge. Look. Is it going to start? There. Look. Driving up into the sky. That's just... I don't know why they did that. Well, I do. It must have been a technical limitation, but... My control pad's not working its best. I can't actually seem to pause it. There we go. That's the problem with the old hardware, it's It's lovely to play it on the real thing, but sometimes it just doesn't work properly. Yeah, C button's not working very well. Or start. Never mind. Right, so I'm going to use the top view for this one. See if I can get past everyone. They tend to hang to the left, so if I go to the right, I should get a decent position. Yeah, I don't think this D-pad's even working very well. And that's okay. Okay, still up with the leaders. Okay, it is much easier on this view, especially this section. You know I'm concentrating when my tongue comes out, sorry about that. Okay, we can at least have a different view for now. It's quite fast, isn't it? I would argue that this was the start of 3D gaming. I know I said that Sonic the Hedgehog, I think, is the start of proper modern gaming. But it's definitely the template for all future 3D racing games right here. Not least the template for all the Sega arcade games that followed. It was going so well, wasn't it? You're thinking, till you started spouting nonsense. But this is the template basically for Daytona USA. It's got 3 tracks, 4 views, 1 car. And of course Sega Rally Championship with its 3 tracks and 1 hidden one, and 2 cars, but all following the same template. And all having great track design. I think Virtua Racing's tracks are not mentioned enough because they're very challenging, especially this corner. It's possible to take that flat out if you cut it just right. You also need to steer a couple of times. Every time you let go of the D-pad, which is purely digital by the way, there's no analog steering in this, which is why it's so hard. Whenever you put your finger back on the turn button, you seem to get a little bit more grip. So you can sort of press it repeatedly to get more grip and go around the corners. But if you do that, after 4 or 5 presses, the game decides you've pressed it too much and will just understeer you off the road. But that's how you get around corners like that so quickly. That was much better. If I don't pin it in the wall, this should be the fastest lap of the race. Yeah, and it was. By quite some distance. I don't think I'm going to catch up to the leader, which is a real shame. There's a chance, but this one's in the way. I can't even steer around it. That's right. Go on. Yes! How's that? Got the win. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. That was Virtua Racing on a Sega Mega Drive played on real hardware. We've got loads of Let's Play videos now on the Sega Sundays playlist, so check that out on the right. I highly recommend the Sonic the Hedgehog Perfect Win, so check that out. And see you again soon. Take care. Cheers.